Remarkable Earth destinations, places that defy comprehension. Our planet exhibits remarkable diversity and capricious nature, harboring countless destinations that possess the power to amaze and motivate any person fortunate enough to witness them. The deepest impact, nevertheless, stems from spectacles that push the limits of what we consider possible. Imagine an unconquerable citadel appearing to float in midair, colossal cascades tumbling into oceanic abysses, or isolated stone structures carved into fantastic, otherworldly configurations. These represent the astounding and incomprehensible. Be certain that our Earth contains a wealth of such phenomenal destinations. Lençóis Maranhenses National Park, Brazil. This extraordinary location, without parallel across the globe, extends along Atlantic Ocean shores, displaying the most peculiar desert scenery conceivable. Throughout arid months, immense sand formations intermingle with modest freshwater pools, establishing patterns spanning multiple kilometers. When January arrives and the wet season begins, freshwater pools swell considerably, additional ones materialize, and water conquers progressively larger areas from sandy terrain. The wilderness, featuring 40-meter sand hills, metamorphoses into terrain punctuated by countless profound freshwater bodies. This display remains awe-inspiring. Such distinctive occurrence stems from massive rainfall quantities throughout wet seasons, reaching 1,600 millimeters per year. Moisture simply lacks sufficient time to evaporate or seep into Earth, establishing this as among the globe's most unique destinations. Sigiriya Fortress, or Lion Rock, Sri Lanka. Lion Rock Citadel rises within Sri Lanka's center as among the island's most renowned landmarks. This stone plateau ascends approximately 180 meters beyond surrounding flatlands, producing lasting impact upon every observer. European explorers initially encountered Sigiriya during the 19th century's final decades, despite the mountaintop stronghold being erected roughly 15 centuries prior under King Kashyapa's rule, who established Sigiriya as his governmental seat. Presently, upper palace remnants cap the stone summit. Water storage systems hewn into solid rock persist intact, continuing to gather precipitation. One hypothesis suggests that beyond utilitarian purposes, these basins might have provided recreation spaces for the monarch's multiple consorts. Sigiriya murals' favored theme portrays unclad female companions. Initially, the citadel gateway displayed a lion sculpture with open mouth. Nevertheless, merely portions remain currently, notably the feet. Today, summit access demands ascending beyond 1,000 stairs. Sigiriya includes not only the rock formation, but also encompassing lands. This constitutes antiquity's premier example of sophisticated urban development. Multiple water management networks, several operational presently, traverse the plateau completely, forming both expansive and compact water features with the majestic fortress serving as focal point. Torres del Paine National Park, Chile. This preserve, situated within southern Chilean Patagonia, maintains complete separation from external civilization. Its designation originates from 3 magnificent granite summits positioned within the park's core, measuring between 2,600 and 2,850 meters elevation. Within Mapuche native language, Torres del Paine means azure spires. This constitutes nature's most extraordinary terrains. Furthermore, throughout the 2,420 square kilometer preserve exist ice fields, coastal inlets, and magnificent water bodies. Underwater waterfall, Republic of Mauritius. Along Mauritius Island's southwestern shoreline, adjacent to Lumorne Brabant Peninsula coastline, a remarkable vision appears. A forceful subaqueous cascade, with torrents diving into oceanic depths. This spectacle manifests exclusively from aerial viewpoint. Undoubtedly, it resembles an authentic waterfall. Actually, this constitutes simply an optical trick produced by powerful subsurface flows, reef formations, and sediment accumulations. Stunning images of this site frequently get mistaken for artificial or manipulated visuals. Yet, the terrain revealing itself to viewers emerges entirely from natural processes. Weathering Pillars, Manpupuner, Russia. These erosional towers form a grouping of 7 massive stone shafts, geological remains decorating a highland between dual rivers, Machora and Ilik, within Komi Republic. These rock structures attain elevations of 32 through 40 meters, creating permanent memories. The formations, built from most durable stone varieties, developed through Ural Range deterioration by atmospheric and moisture influences. Rock structures locate at the precipice edge upon what residents term Sacred Mountain. These towers display peculiar configurations and, viewed from various positions, might suggest equine heads, sheep, or enormous human forms. Native Mansi communities have created countless myths regarding them. Certainly, viewing these isolated shapes within the barren highlands, one experiences this location's remarkable energy. During winter, under snow coverage, these stone guardians look exceptionally dramatic. Saint Michel Island Fortress, France. Upon France's northwestern shoreline, crowning a stone peak that transforms into an island at high tide, exists the distinctive, fortified settlement. Throughout centuries preceding our time, this remarkable granite elevation functioned as Celtic sacred ground. At this location, Druids conversed with their gods until Roman occupation. This enigmatic place ultimately received designation as Montone, Burial Mountain. Following hundreds of years, mountain interest revived. During the 11th century, a spiritual establishment started developing, Mont Saint-Michel Monastery, becoming medieval Christianity's primary pilgrimage destination. The island commenced assuming its contemporary appearance. Nearly twice per day would ocean waters recede, exposing muddy floors and revealing the hazardous pathway. Numerous pilgrims and attackers died within the bay's dangerous sands, drowning in tidal surges before achieving their holy objective. This site maintains intricate and extensive history. Currently, this natural historical establishment stands among the globe's most famous tourist locations and France's second most frequented destination. Particular infrastructure emerged to enhance visitor access. Mont Saint-Michel stays completely unique. Earth simply lacks competitors to this isolated peak within perfectly level terrain, topped by austere monastery and encircled by impenetrable barriers. Everything seems genuinely mythical and surreal. This might explain why the settlement's appearance influenced Minas Tirith's design within the Lord of the Rings cinema series. Guilin Mountains, China. Throughout China, beside Li River shores, extends an uncommon stone wilderness. Remarkable limestone structures cloaked in verdant growth. Countless perpendicular escarpments, developed across centuries and millennia, cluster together, rising nearly straight up, forming a distinctive mountain chain. Tiny trees grasp rocky inclines with roots. Terraces become covered with climbing plants. This combination produces vivid, multicolored, attention-grabbing scenery. Additionally, Emerald Hills contain innumerable passages and caverns generating equivalent, captivating appeal. Delightful limestone elevations and spires draw visitors not exclusively from China but globally. Kinderdijk Windmills, Netherlands. 19 wind generators within Kinderdijk settlement, close to Rotterdam, constitute one of the Netherlands' primary landmarks. Construction occurred approximately during 1740. Their main function included regulating water at appropriate elevations. They averted inundation of substantial lowland regions, although they weren't always successful in this duty. Do they serve their function currently? Not precisely, but they look genuinely remarkable and captivating. Throughout winter, when waterways freeze, residents appear for ice skating upon frozen channels, among locals' preferred recreational activities. Buddha statue in Lehan, China. Earth hosts countless sites where Buddha sculptures exist. Definitely large, truly enormously gigantic. Each holds distinct significance and particular meaning. The Maitreya Buddha sculpture, the future Bodhisattva, possesses this quality. However, Leshan's sculpture stays distinctive. It received carving directly into stone and constitutes among the globe's highest bodhisattva sculptures, standing 71 meters tall. Throughout numerous centuries, this stayed the globe's highest sculptural creation. It received carving into Mount Lingyun's mass at Three Rivers Convergence. Buddha's countenance faces toward Holy Mount Amaya Cross. 90 years became necessary for the sculpture's completion throughout Tang Dynasty, and throughout 10 centuries, Buddha's image stayed concealed from people by a temple providing shelter for the magnificent image. Following the temple's demolition, Buddha's countenance became visible to humanity. Namib Desert, southwestern Africa. Namib, a location where nothing survives. Among the globe's most barren deserts, its desiccation remains exceptional. This drought extends approximately 2,000 kilometers beside Atlantic Ocean shores and reaches inland between 50 and 160 kilometers. This constitutes Namib Desert's most fascinating characteristic, the boundary where desert encounters ocean. Every genuine explorer recognizes this. They identify it precisely thus, the location where desert encounters ocean. No other place globally possesses such shoreline. It remains so magnificent and unique. Lake Baikal, Russia. Baikal, the splendid lake within southern-eastern Siberia, functions as the greatest natural freshwater storage and Earth's most profound lake. Everyone appreciating stunning experiences attempts visiting here. Within certain areas, Baikal's depth surpasses 1,500 meters. This legendary site becomes surrounded by untouched wilderness. Summer Baikal appears beautiful, yet frozen Baikal demonstrates equally remarkable qualities. Ice imprisonment renders the lake genuinely enchanting. Beyond the surface ice layer, one observes the aquatic domain. Fracture designs developing upon the lake surface remain simply amazing, magnificent in their attractiveness and variation. Regarding frozen Baikal, people declare it's a location where universe exists both above and below. This evaluation proves challenging to contradict. Victoria Falls, Zambia and Zimbabwe. This constitutes among the globe's greatest and most magnificent waterfalls. Approximately 2 kilometers broad, this natural marvel also amazes with its elevation, roughly 100 meters. This represents the globe's singular waterfall concurrently surpassing 100 meters in elevation and 1 kilometer in breadth. Southern Africa's native populations designated it roaring vapor Mosioetunya. Certainly, it genuinely roars. Only during the 19th century did the waterfall receive naming after English Queen Victoria. Presently, it exists upon the boundary between Zambia and Zimbabwe. The effect this waterfall produces resists comparison. The finest comparison originated from African investigator David Livingstone, who proclaimed that exclusively celestial beings in flight could observe such magnificence. Currently, the waterfall draws observers who remain neither exclusively aerial nor purely celestial. It positions roughly halfway through Zambezi River's path. Another remarkable characteristic, somewhat beyond the waterfall, the river traverses across a basalt sheet. Its flow holds numerous tiny islands. As the current nears the waterfall, these islands increase. Scenic? Definitely. Cappadocia, Turkey. Cappadocia ranks within Turkey's most distinctive and identifiable areas. This geological wonder resulted from dormant volcano explosions, stone deterioration and erosion, waterways, and heavy rainfall. Everything contributed to this amazing landscape's development. Tough stone strata and volcanic debris accumulations produce memorable vistas. Tough stone, developed by previous explosions, became gentle and flexible substance. Consequently, people occupying these regions started excavating residences directly into stones. Cappadocia becomes filled with subterranean settlements and vast cave religious complexes with millennial histories. Tourists conducting aerial balloon journeys can witness distinctive natural terrains from overhead. Multiple dozens and hundreds of aerial balloons in skies have permanently become Cappadocia's characteristic symbol. Sala de Uyuni, Bolivia. At 3,650 meters beyond sea level within southern Altiplano Highland exists Sala de Uyuni, the globe's greatest salt plain. Its extent surpasses 10,000 square kilometers. Genuine enchantment happens throughout rainy period when the salt plain's surface receives covering by thin water coating, becoming mirror-like surface. Consequently, it receives frequent designation as the planet's greatest mirror. Because of elevated albedo and completely level surface, it receives utilization for adjusting orbital satellite equipment. Uni looks equally magnificent throughout dry period, constituting a snow-white wilderness with hexagonal designs. Beyond tourist attraction, Uni provides Bolivia considerable income. Besides massive salt supplies, calculated at 10 billion tons, underneath the globe's greatest salt plain exists another treasure, the greatest lithium reserve, vital for contemporary battery manufacturing. Sala de Uyuni constitutes a magnificently attractive site, among our planet's most amazing places where spatial awareness disappears. Myanmar. Dome-shaped stupas and pagodas, religious complexes and temples. These characterize ancient Bagan settlements' attraction. Currently, this forms its exclusive inheritance. Thousands of ancient spiritual structures, some demolished by time. Indeed, this represents a lifeless settlement, converted into archaeological territory drawing interested tourists. The vision looks remarkable and the magnitude astounds when one understands everything received construction beyond 700 years ago. This region's terrain differs. Verdant thickets emerge in locations, isolated palms elsewhere. Certain areas between temples constitute burned wilderness. Structures differ, massive and tiny, the most important decorated with gold, yet most stupas receive construction from red and white brick. Previously, this settlement existed and functioned as a capital, yet history eliminated all importance, abandoning exclusively ruins of remarkable attractiveness. Kelimutu Volcano, Indonesia. Among Earth's most amazing places, Kelimutu volcano upon Flores Island within Indonesia. Nevertheless, the volcano itself proves less fascinating than 3 volcanic crater lakes positioned upon it. Each shows different hues, emerald, turquoise, or brown. Additionally, their hues can transform to black, with color changes happening separately from each other. Inhabitants of adjacent Moni settlement claim these lakes accept deceased spirits. If a lake's hue changes, it indicates spirits have grown angry. Scientists think lake hue changes stem from chemical interactions between minerals and gases released from the volcano. Kelimutu volcano lakes constitute among Indonesia's most fascinating landmarks. Thousands of tourists come yearly to observe these distinctive natural occurrences. Nick Glacier, Alaska. Nick Glacier, extending 50 kilometers from Anchorage, constitutes another location of remarkable attractiveness. It forms a massive ice expanse positioned north of Chugach Mountains, spanning 40 kilometers, establishing it as among Alaska's greatest glaciers. The glacier supplies Nick River with its waters, which empties into Cook Inlet. This glacier holds its own history, yet that constitutes a multi-page narrative. The primary aspect here remains unquestionable magnificence. Monument Valley, USA. Throughout the Arizona-Utah boundary, upon Colorado Plateau, numerous travelers attempt observing the regional landmark, Monument Valley. This constitutes an elevated plain containing red sandstone remains. Certain remains have obtained individual designations, Three Sisters, East and West Mittens, and others. The most remarkable ones achieve elevations surpassing 300 meters beyond the valley floor. With imagination activated, they might seem like fossilized stumps of enormous ancient trees. Nevertheless, everything proves more mundane. The plain's surface layer, comprising gentle sedimentary stones, received complete destruction, yet several escarpments composed of less erosion-vulnerable stone formations persisted beyond the desert surface. Valley area becomes literally saturated with Navajo tribe's essence. Arid vegetation and unrestricted wind appeared to narrate stories of the tribe's historical periods. This territory remains Navajo property currently. Meteora rocks and monasteries, Greece. Meteora constitutes unusual stone formations within northwestern Greece, configured like tall stone spires, which independently generate wonder. Even more remarkable involves observing human-created structures crowning these vertical mountains. The initial ones started emerging roughly 700 years ago. At this location, an ancient religious community developed, surviving within stones unreachable to the external world. Similar to Athos, it became an Orthodox religious center. Among 24 religious complexes existing throughout the religious state's prosperous era, merely 6 persist. The religious complex's magnificence astounds, as do the elevated, unconquerable escarpments upon which they receive construction. Socotra Island, Yemen. South of Arabian Peninsula exists the Socotra archipelago containing its remarkable namesake island. The island's most remarkable characteristics include its vegetation and wildlife. Nevertheless, vegetation astounds more. Certain trees develop upon escarpments and precipices, others exclusively upon land. Their appearance remains unlike anything else. Their distinctive appearance astounds. Consider the bottle tree or dragon's blood tree, Dracaena cinnabari. Socotra astounds so thoroughly with its terrain's distinctiveness and nature's peculiarity that regional scenery receives frequent comparison to extraterrestrial terrains. That means otherworldly and foreign vistas appearing impossible upon Earth. Ha Long Bay, Vietnam. Ha Long Bay, positioned within northeastern Vietnam, resembles a maze created by countless channels. Actually, it comprises 3,000 small limestone islands, escarpments, and caverns distributed across 1,500 square kilometers. Terrains here remain genuinely spectacular, particularly when you're touring vessel maneuvers between escarpments. Everything here astounds: distinctive terrain and remarkably abundant aquatic life, not restricted to corals and fish. Petra, Jordan. Contemporary Jordan holds much fascinating antiquity, yet numerous travelers attempt reaching Petra specifically, the ancient Nabatean capital positioned within the country's south. The settlement receives construction among escarpments, reached through the cool kilometer-long Sick Canyon. Immediately following the turn, something remarkable opens before you, a 40-meter building containing a facade carved into stone. This represents the Al-Khazna Treasury Temple. Although the structure's precise purpose stays unclear, its Arabic designation translates as Pharaoh's Treasury. This constitutes among the globe's best-maintained first-century structures. Besides stonework, residents mastered water gathering. To maintain it, they carved channels and storage directly into stones. The semi-nomadic Nabatean people who constructed the settlement carved residences, burial sites, temples, and stone sculptures surviving currently. Throughout centuries, because of beneficial position, commerce provided Petra considerable wealth. Yet when Romans established eastern sea passages, overland spice commerce declined. Petra progressively emptied, disappeared within desert sands. Krenitsin Volcano, Russia. Krenitsin Volcano, positioned upon Onekatin Island, constitutes among eastern Russia's most distinctive and attractive places. Its distinctiveness exists in being a double-level volcano within a volcano. A volcanic cone containing roughly 4-kilometer base diameter rises from an island within ring-shaped Lake Koltsevoy, containing roughly 7-kilometer diameter. The lake receives surrounding by walls of a more ancient caldera containing roughly 17-kilometer diameter. Krenitsin Volcano receives recognition as active, although its explosion received documentation exclusively once, during 1952. Hills, Philippines. This extremely attractive and distinctive place within Philippine province of Bohol contains over 1,000 hills distributed across 50 square kilometers. Hills remain constantly attractive, yet normally they receive covering with emerald grass here. Why chocolate? The response proves remarkably simple. Throughout dry period, they alter color to dark brown, almost chocolate. This distinctive, genuinely striking characteristic additionally draws thousands of tourists here. Chocolate Hill's origin stays extremely ambiguous. Global scientists still cannot achieve a unified explanation. Nevertheless, Chocolate Hills stay mysterious, distinctive, and among our planet's most attractive places. Preikestolen, Norway. Preikestolen, a gigantic escarpment rising 600 meters beyond a Norwegian fjord, containing a square, almost level summit appearing artificial. A path leads to the summit through magnificent mountain terrains. Achieving here demands at least 2 hours, and the route isn't simple. The path remains steep and hazardous. Nevertheless, the panorama opening from Preikestolen's summit compensates for all invested effort. Chara Sands, Russia, Transbaikal Territory. Within one of Transbaikal Territory's basins exists a distinctive place. Chara Sands, a massive sand formation covering 30 square kilometers, encircled by taiga and mountains appearing emerald during summer and snow-white throughout winter. Sand masses create ridges, dunes, and dune sequences interspersed with deflation depressions. Individual dunes achieve approximately 200 meters in length and 80 meters in elevation. Chara Sands create permanent memories, again demonstrating how varied and capricious our planet's nature can become. White Cliffs of Dover, Great Britain. The English Channel dividing France and England appears attractive independently. Nevertheless, its shoreline remains spectacular. These constitute white escarpments containing vertical inclines reaching 110 meters elevation, intersected by delicate black lines. The escarpment's elevation renders them visible from distance. Within Old England, they functioned as a beacon for sailors. If white escarpments become visible, England's shore stays near. Dover Castle crowns them, regarded as England's key since ancient periods because of its strategically crucial position. The escarpments developed throughout Cretaceous era, tens of millions of years ago. Chalk colored them white. Although similar chalk escarpments remain common within southeastern England, Dovers constitute the most popular and scenic. When observing these distinctive terrains, one involuntarily perceives, here exists the world's boundary. Pinnacles Desert, Australia. This extremely distinctive desert exists within Western Australia. The most distinctive characteristics include natural stone formations. They're not massive, 1 through 5 meters elevation, yet they're numerous and remarkably configured. Numerous stones resemble human shapes or duplicate animal outlines. Some might observe alien beings here. Nevertheless, everything powerfully affects the vision. Concerning Stone Spire's origin, researchers still haven't achieved agreement. Giant's Causeway, Ireland. Giant's Causeway constitutes among Ireland's primary protected landmarks. This natural monument developed by roughly 40,000 basalt columns produced by subaqueous volcanic explosion during ancient periods. Hexagonal column summits resemble stairs vanishing underneath sea surface. Certain columns contain 4, 7, or 8 angles at their summits. Countless myths and narratives surround these strange stone pillars' emergence. This isn't surprising, since it's challenging to believe nature could produce such perfectly configured stone structures. Yet we understand nature can amaze like no other power upon the planet. Much of what I've documented currently has obtained UNESCO World Heritage designation, not without justification. Exclusively things without global equivalents, from which it's impossible to divert attention, enter this registry. I trust one managed to amaze you. I take leave until new meetings and new encounters with our planet's most amazing places. Thank you for watching this video. If you liked it, give it a like and don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Thank you and see you in the next videos. Take care.